Hi, my name is Janiyah Jones, and today I'll be discussing the effects of gonorrhea on the female reproductive system. The anatomy of the female reproductive system is composed of four main parts. Not just those four main parts are a part of the female reproductive system, but in order to be able to reproduce offspring, you will need these four essential parts, which are going to be the vagina, cervix, uterus, and the fallopian tubes. What the vagina does is also known as the birth canal. This is what the baby will travel down during delivery. The cervix is a door or a gateway for sperm to travel to fertilize eggs. The uterus is going to act as a storehouse for a fertilized egg until the baby is ready for delivery. The fallopian tubes store these eggs, and upon ovulation, they release these eggs to become fertilized. So what is gonorrhea? Gonorrhea is the second most commonly sexually transmitted disease and affects about 1.14 million people each year, which is a lot of people. This disease can be spread easily through sexual contact, and it's very infectious. So it can be transmitted from male to female, female to male, male to male, female to female. It really doesn't matter. It's also commonly known as the clap, and 1 in 2 people will experience an STD or STI in their lifetime, whether it be gonorrhea, chlamydia, it's a wide variety. This disease is commonly known amongst individuals ranging from 15 to 24 years of age, so adolescence until adulthood. It's just not pinned to 15 and 24 years of age. It's just anybody can get the disease. It's just amongst 15 and 24. These are the most commonly people getting infected with this disease. And this bacteria, the bacteria that creates disease is called Neisseria gonorrhoeae. So transmission of gonorrhea. So how gonorrhea is transmitted. So there's a wide variety of different ways gonorrhea can be transmitted, mainly through sexual contact, which is through anal sex, oral sex, vaginal sex, from an infected penis. It can even be transmitted through childbirth, from a mother to the child. If the disease isn't treated properly before childbirth, a child can experience symptoms mainly around the eyes. You can catch gonorrhea in your eyes also. So you'll see crusting around the eyes, which is a clear sign that a child has contracted gonorrhea. So we're going to talk about the pathophysiology of gonorrhea, or the pathogenesis. So the way that this disease attaches itself and creates this infection within the reproductive system is first through sexual contact. When it enters it can enter the anus, the vagina, the mouth, any of the sort. So when it enters these structures, it then attaches itself. But we're going to talk about the vagina because this is a part of the female reproductive system. So it attaches itself to the walls of the vagina and within the cervix. So our body goes into fight or flight mode at this point. So any foreign substance, we have different types of white blood cells that are there to neutralize the infection so they don't become any worse. So what our neutrophils do, they're trying to attack this infection that just invaded our structure, so then it can go back into homeostasis. So then the gonorrhea bacteria is very smart. It then tricks our neutrophils into thinking that it's a regular white blood cell. So what it does is it creates this protein that makes it irresistible, or not irresistible. It creates a protein that makes this cell become unrecognized. So at this point, our neutrophils are like, okay, maybe it's one of us, so we're going to stop attacking it. So then this helps the spread of this bacteria even more. So as it travels from the vagina to the cervix, it then goes into the uterus and out of the fallopian tubes. So what this infection can cause is pelvic inflammatory disease if it gets any worse. This attacks anything in the reproductive system, including the vagina, uterus, fallopian tubes, or the cervix. So if pelvic inflammatory disease isn't treated properly and goes long without being treated, this is what can cause infertility in women alone. So risk factors for contracting gonorrhea. So basically, the most risk factor is sexual intercourse or sexual contact with either, like I said, the mouth, anus, vagina, penis, or having a lot of multiple sex partners. Whenever being exposed to STD or STI, the best thing I recommend anybody to do is not have a lot of sexual partners. So if you do contract this disease, you can pinpoint it down to one person instead of contracting 4 different people instead of one. So a lot of low economic and social status people are more likely to be exposed to contracting gonorrhea, maybe because they're not have the best medical care. They're not able to get to like condoms or anything to stop the spread of disease. Minorities, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have the highest risk of contracting these diseases. A history of concurrent or past STDs, some can, if not treated properly, can come back and cause infertility as well. Pelvic inflammatory disease, like I just talked about, infects the cervix, uterus, fallopian tubes. In the bottom right, here's a quick picture of what pelvic inflammatory disease is. This one you can see has infected the fallopian tubes. If infection goes untreated for a very long time, or not even a long time, this can cause a lot of damage to the reproductive system and is the main cause of infertility. And another one is early onset of sexual activity. So if someone has started having sex at a very early age, this does put them at risk of contracting STDs or STIs much sooner. So typical laboratory and diagnostic findings. Most time when people test for if someone has gonorrhea, they're going to take a swab, and it's also called a nucleic amplification test. Or you could do a blood test. Either or can find the bacteria of the Neisseria gonorrhoeae in the blood or through any sexual organ such as the anus, the penis, the vagina, because secretions will occur such as a milky secretion, or it'll be like a greenish secretion. Some may mistake this for a yeast infection. Diagnostic findings in women can be a vaginal discharge, like I just told you, a milky secretion, pain during sex, pain in the lower abdomen during sex, breakthrough bleeding or bleeding between your periods can be a clear indication, pain when urinating from the bacteria, from the infection being present, and abdominal pain. So treatment for gonorrhea. The clearest treatment for gonorrhea is going to be antibiotics. So a doctor is going to prescribe you antibiotics. Some gonorrhea can be resistant to certain antibiotics. So it just depends on what your doctor prescribes you and what type of treatment they feel that is going to clear your gonorrhea up the fastest and what strain do you have. So it all depends on the doctor, what strain, and what they have seen in the laboratory during your blood test or your amplification test when performed. So how not to contract gonorrhea? There are some clear and concise ways to not contracting gonorrhea, which can include using condoms. Whenever you have sexual contact with anybody, always use condoms. Don't let anyone discourage you from using condoms, because this can save you from contracting an STD or STI. Getting your sexual partner and you tested very regularly. It's okay to go get tested. Everybody should do it. Everybody should know what type of health you are in, and it's just important to be able to maintain that relationship with your doctor, so whenever if you do contract something of the sort, you'll be able and comfortable to go get this treated accordingly. Dental dams, this is basically the same as a male condom, just a female condom. Many people use this for in the mouth or the oral cavity, or males can use these also. I'm not gonna just pinpoint this to women, but males can use this also. So abstinence, abstaining from sex. This is the best way or the only way to keep yourself from contracting STD or STI. Having fewer partners, lowering your partner to one, not more than one. Getting vaccinated, it's a really good one, and getting tested regularly. So if you know you do contract this disease, you can get it treated as soon as possible. So how would a sonographer effectively treat this disease? So me going into the sonography program, I know there's a lot of ways that sonographers can treat this disease if a patient does find themselves being unable to conceive due to risk of them having a pelvic inflammatory disease. So when a patient does go untreated for gonorrhea, there is a possible sign for infertility. So a sonographer, a specialist who specializes in ultrasounds, will be there to help check if a patient has a clear, concise way of trying to conceive. So what this appointment will consist of is a patient coming in. They would need to drink at least 32 ounces of fluid before their appointment. This is so it can help the sonographer move the uterus around in a better position to where they're able to see it. So what instrument that will be used is called a vaginal probe, which this is inserted within the vagina. It then helps to see structures within the lower pelvis. So the reproductive system is an easy and detectable way. This is the easiest and detectable way for a vaginal probe to be seen and to be able to evaluate the uterus. This can spot for a lot of deformities, such as if a patient has a cervix, a uterus, and both sets of fallopian tubes. So when after a sonographer is done with their evaluation, this evaluation only takes about 13 to 15 minutes per se. And then after the results are given to a doctor from the sonographer, then the patient can get a better evaluation on how to be treated effectively. Okay, and here are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation about the effects of gonorrhea on the female reproductive system.